Hi, friends. Welcome back to the High Vibration Living podcast. I haven't done a solo episode in what feels like a really long time, and I actually miss checking in and chatting with you guys directly and letting you know what's going on in my life personally and professionally. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to do so. It was recently my birthday, so my solar return. So this is officially the start of my new year. And spring is definitely the start of the new year, as you guys are aware if you've been listening to the podcast for a while. That's actually the time that the new year traditionally started, right? Because we're coming out of winter and we're having longer sunny days. Everything is rebirthing. So this is a perfect time to check in, let you guys know what's been going on, what's been working for me, what's not been working with me, and kind of the plans that I'm making for myself personally and professionally for the summer. And I'm sharing this because this is what the High Vibration Living podcast is all about. I want to share with you guys the tools that have worked for me for the past 25 years that support my physical body, my emotional body, my spiritual body, and my mental body. Because that is why I became a chef. It's because I wanted to feel good in my body every day. And through that process, I learned food was just the foundation. So if you guys are just starting to tune in with me and you haven't been following, not a problem. I'll tune you back in. And this came up actually just the other day when I was talking to Dr. Scott Robinson. He's been in town for the past week, staying with me, seeing patients out here, dealing with some personal matters of his own as he transitions his practice from California to Florida. And I've just been chatting with him about how I want to evolve my career as a chef because my plan was to never actually be a chef. I went to culinary school to the Natural Gourmet Institute, which was the first ever health supportive culinary school in this country because I wanted to learn to heal myself with food. I'd been having gut issues ever since I was 16 years old. And every time I lay down in bed at night, starting when I was 16, I would have stomach aches in the same exact spot. It would be on the lower right side, just below my belly button, but on the right side. And I'd have pain every night I lay down to go to sleep. And I was trying to figure out what was it that I was eating that was causing this pain. And then as we get older, as I moved into my 20s after college, I was just also frustrated with the fluctuation in my weight. Why do I eat the same things every day? Why do I eat healthy? Do I exercise? I lift weights. I take care of myself in all the ways I thought we were supposed to take care of myself, but there's still fluctuations in my weight. Why is this happening when I'm noticing my friends over here who eat fast food, who eat junk food, who aren't mindful of what they consume? They don't exercise, but they're always the same weight. They always are able to maintain a thin frame. What's going on with me? What's the difference? And then why on top of it, at night before I go to bed, I have this pain. And so I went to doctors on the East Coast and West Coast. I spent thousands of dollars that I didn't spend. I always look back and think, God, I'd have an amazing 401k right now if I had been able to put that money away instead of having to spend it on going to all these specialists to try to figure out what was going on within my body. So that's why I went to culinary school. I just got fed up and I thought, I am in this physical form. I can feel what's going on. Maybe if I have the tools, I can heal myself and then I'll be free. What I found was food was the foundation. So I went to culinary school. I learned the ways I was preparing food incorrectly. I wasn't washing my rice. I wasn't washing my quinoa. I wasn't soaking it overnight when I had the opportunity to. I wasn't eating fermented foods. I wasn't eating as in season as I could have. I wasn't eating as many warm and hot foods as I needed to. I was definitely, especially being from California, eating too many cold foods and putting out my digestive fire. I was eating smoothies in the middle of the winter. No wonder I was having digestive problems and feeling cold all the time. But it wasn't just that. What I learned was once I dialed in the foods that worked for me, taking a little bit of Dr. Diadamo's work of eating right for your blood type, the seasonality of where you live, preparing foods properly, and doing this consistently. You got to give yourself at least 90 days to 6 months to start to see the changes when you edit your food. And then the beauty of what happens is everything else that needs to be let go will bubble up. So that's emotions, that's patterns, that's all the programming you've received. You can start to let that go. And I think the most important thing is the emotions, the stuff that we've consciously pushed down and subconsciously pushed down. You can start to let those go, but you can't heal until you let the emotions go. And I'm going to get into more of that because that came up in that really cool live blood cell analysis test that I went to Orlando to receive. And I'm going to tell you guys more about that. I'm going to bring Ricky on the show because when I got the results of the live blood cell analysis and we went through all the different things that need to be edited with my health, he relates everything that's going on in your blood with your health to the emotions that you're holding too. And he communicates that you can't heal candida, yeast overgrowth, parasites, Lyme disease, inflammation, gut issues. I mean, you name it, until you release the emotions, then the protocols that you do with supplements, with changes in diets, changes in lifestyle, plus frequency machines, plus hands-on healing, all this stuff can't work until you do the work to clear the emotions. And how do you clear the emotions? You can do it through tapping. You can do it through the Heart Institute. You can do it through, there's 3 different programs you can do. And of course, I'm blanking on them right now, but it's all about clearing the emotional programming. You can read the books on how to do it. I rented those books out from the library, but there's 3 different protocols for doing it. You can do it yourself, but it's so much more powerful and effective if you can find a practitioner to work with. So you guys all know I use Dr. Scott Robinson because that's who I feel safe and comfortable with, but there are lots of people out there doing this. If you look at the book, the Heart Map Institute, and that one's going to give you some people that you can work with. When the other program comes to my mind, it's same, but different. But you can find practitioners in your area that help you release trapped emotions. You can also find people that are experts at tapping. You can also do past life regression work and hypnotherapy. That will move you in the same direction as well. The most important thing is you got to get the trapped emotions out of you. And you're never going to do that by saying affirmations and meditating. You're never going to fully do that by just grabbing a pillow and screaming into it, or hiking to a top of a mountain and screaming. You're never going to get them out of you just by doing really hard workouts and sweating or going to an infrared sauna. It really has to be deliberate and mindful. And you'll notice once you start doing it, each time you do it, you feel lighter. And then it's like anything. You have a great day at the beach. You feel amazing. You go to work the next day and you can start to feel that energetic weight on you again. And by the end of the week, you go to the beach, you swim in the water, you feel lighter again, right? So it's just the same thing with releasing these trapped emotions. You feel amazing afterwards, but then new ones come to the surface and then you got to release them. And then you bebop along in your life and then new ones are going to bubble up and you'll release them. And I think the most important thing that I've learned since I've been doing this type of work, basically since I graduated college, 2003. I'm now 44 years old. So I've been doing this type of stuff kind of underground and secretive since I was 21, 22 years old. And the one thing that I've learned is you have to be consistent. I've always joked that sometimes I just want to be a stupid human. Like I just want to participate in the world unconsciously. Like I just want to like bebop along and go out for margaritas and not have to meditate. I just want to like be a basic human and just focus on having fun and enjoying my life. But life is a balance of a spiritual practice and showing up and being present in the real world. And so that spiritual practice is spiritual hygiene for your bodies, the physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental. So we're not just focused every day on eating well for our body, exercising well for our body, spending time in nature for our body. It's all of our bodies, all of our layers. And it's a daily practice that supports all the versions of us because we're here to evolve as souls. We're not just here to have a fun, playful experience. We get all of that. Just like with food. I always talk about food gets to be nourishment, it gets to be energy, but it gets to be pleasure. So if your food is ever feeling like torture because you're thinking, oh, all I can eat is a baked plain chicken breast and steamed vegetables because I have to be quote unquote healthy, and you're miserable eating it, it's actually not going to nourish you. This came up in a great episode that I did with Rebecca Wood, who is the author of the new Whole Foods Encyclopedia. She's a James Beard award-winning cookbook author, and she's also one of the original face readers here in the US. And she studied with Dr. Michio Kuchi, who brought macrobiotics to the US and who started Erewhon, the famous Erewhon market. And she always taught me that through her practice of helping people heal with foods, using face reading as the foundation, is yes, you have to edit your diet to fully nourish your body and to be healthy. But if you aren't editing it in a way where you love the foods you eat, it's not going to work. You get to have pleasure in the foods that you eat while nourishing yourself, being healthy, be balanced, living within the seasons. It doesn't have to be regimented, but you can't also just let go of it all and play stupid human. So it's the balance of all of that. And so what I've noticed is if I stop doing the work to clear trapped emotions, then it builds up too much. And then I get sick. I get chronic fatigue. I get inflammation. I get candida. My body reacts in the same way. It's really interesting. If you look at eating right for your blood type, I'm B positive. So the things that always happen to my body is exactly what they say happens to people who have a B positive blood type. So if I get out of balance, the same autoimmune issues always pop up for me. They have since I was in high school. As soon as I'm in balance, everything falls into place. All those issues completely disappear. And it's usually never because I've done a strict food diet. It's usually subtle changes that I make that bring it all into balance. But most importantly, it always comes back to emotions and my emotional state. So that's why I wanted to bring that up, because I think that's the missing piece that we always want to not pay attention to, is that it's our emotions, because that's the most vulnerable spot. That's the spot that we don't want to talk about with other people. But when we do, and we find the practitioners that we're safe with and we can let them out, we can really heal and thrive and enjoy life. And so for me, this time last year, physically, I was really healthy. I was the same weight that I had been in high school. I felt very good in my body. I was high energy, no signs of candida, no signs of Lyme, no autoimmune issues, no gut digestive problems. I felt like I was really thriving in my body. I was really happy in how I was feeling, and I was dating somebody. But as soon as that relationship ended, I emotionally was destroyed. For multiple reasons. Well, I should do a podcast about that one another time. A lot of friends have suggested I do, because it was a very interesting for me, right? Because this is only on my side. There are a lot of very interesting synchronicities leading up to that experience of dating that person. A lot of things bubbled up while dating that person, and then it was just a total emotional breakdown for me, which of course I'm now clearing and coming out the other side. But it had very much to do with a lot of past lives that I also needed to wrap up and clean up and clear out of me, so I no longer carry those burdens lifetime to lifetime. This is like the spiritual stuff that needs to be discussed, but I know if people hear it in the wrong context, it's just going to go over their heads or it's not going to serve them properly. And this only affects a small portion of the population, but it's very much a part of our healing. It's very much a part of why sometimes people have chronic diseases or health issues and they can never get to the root cause because they're carrying things from other lifetimes, like the pain in their foot, the pain in their shoulder, the digestive distress. It's usually not anything created from this lifetime. And that's what I learned with my digestive problems after I changed my diet in culinary school. Most of it was trapped emotions from this lifetime and past lifetimes. A lot of it was that I just had been consistently killed, whether it was with a knife or a bullet in the same spot over and over and over again. So I had to do past life regression work where I remembered and saw, and it's easy work for me to see that past life, forgive the person that killed me, forgive myself for what I went through and what led up to that, and just move on and release it. Sometimes these things just need to be recognized one more time and then it goes away. And that's what's always cleared the pain and the digestive problems for me. It's always actually the past life stuff and just a tiny little bit of emotional things that I'm going through in the present. So I hope this is helpful for you guys. I often have people reach out to me as a personal chef because they want me to cook for them to help them lose weight. And the food that I prepare for them and the quality and the ingredients and the preparation process will support, but all it's going to do is open the doors for them to take the steps to clear the excess weight, which is always emotionally based and potentially past life based because the weight is emotions. It's protection, it's a shield, it's something that they're emotionally holding on to and often spiritually holding on to as well. So I always say if you get the food right, then everything else that needs to fall away can fall away. But you got to align your diet, your lifestyle, your food choices, the preparation process first. So that brings me to my solar return that I just had. And I know you guys have seen that I've done episodes about what a solar return is. I've had Miara Rose on, I've had Sita, I've had a lot of different amazing astrologers on the High Vibration Living podcast talking about the solar return and your 10 hours of power. So the 10 hours of power is that time frame, this window from when you were born every year, 5 hours before, 5 hours after, that is known to be your most powerful window of your year. It is your manifestation time. It is where everything you do will determine the way your year falls, whether you believe it or not. Meaning, the example that Ariel, who is host of the Starseed Hotline podcast and is the co-host with Lavendar, another famous astrologer who coined the term starseed. They always explain that your 10 hours of power, it's like everything you do during that time is how your life will play out for the year ahead. So Ariel explained that one year during her 10 hours of power, she accidentally got locked out of her house or her car. Either way, she got locked out of one. And so she found that everywhere she went in the year ahead, the doors were always locked, whether it was physically locked, like every time she walked up to a door, she couldn't get in, or if it was the analogy, like every time she tried to get a new job opportunity, a business deal, advance her career, all doors were closed because that's what happened to her during her 10 hours of power. So like I mentioned to you guys earlier, I go through these phases where it's like I know all these spiritual practices, and sometimes I just want to ignore them. And that's the trick they don't teach you is once you're taught these spiritual practices, there's no going back. You have to use them and apply them, or else you can't play the game of life anymore. It's a very interesting thing that happens. You learn the tools and you can't not use them anymore. You have entered a new level in this game and you have to apply them or else it will hurt you. So I decided this past year when I turned 43, I was going to ignore my 10 hours of power. I didn't need to know when they were. I was just going to enjoy my birthday, have a great day. And I did. That morning, I slept in. I went and had a nice workout. I went and got a mani-pedi. I went down to the beach. I read on the beach. I laid out. I did a beach walk. And then I went home, showered, put on a dress, felt pretty, and went over to the house of the guy I was dating for us to cook dinner. I cried 3 times that night. Hopefully subtly so he didn't notice. But there were 3 different occasions where I was disappointed with how he was showing up, and I cried. It was about him, but it was also about me and what I was wanting in my life and realizing he didn't care to be a part of it. So on 3 different occasions that evening, I cried. And I looked up later on ChatGPT. It was during my 10 hours of power, and it was closest to the center point, the most powerful time. So what did I just experience this past year? I cried every single day. I cried every single day. I bawled. My birthday's May 30th, so I cried the next day, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after. And then when we did officially separate in July, I started crying like 3 times a day. I started bawling. And it was obviously more than just him that I was crying about. I was just crying about everything in my life. I couldn't go a day without crying. And I spent, again, it was like with my health. It's like I spent every dollar I had going to all these different practitioners to try to stop crying, try to get to the root cause of crying, to let go and to stop. And I couldn't. It's like nobody could help me. So what I found was the only thing that could help was doing work to clear the trapped emotions with a practitioner multiple days in a row. So doing or working with someone once a week or once a month wasn't moving the needle. I had to do it every single day. So I did it 5 days in a row. I worked with someone to clear the trapped emotions. I got on a frequency machine 1, 2, or 3. I literally just dedicated 5 days to shifting the energy of my body. And that like broke the pattern. That stopped the crying. Do I still cry? Yes, but it's so much lighter. Now I'm crying like once a week, which is great. It's just because um I'm 44 years old, and I think like all of us, we get to different points in our life where we reflect and we're like, wow, this is not what I wanted at 44. I wanted my life to look in a very different way. So now I'm just really focused on creating a life I love, no matter the parts of my life that I can't control, the circumstances that I'm in. But I'm not bawling about it like I was a few months ago. And this year, I made sure to get my 10 hours of power. And there's a few ways that you can do that. You can reach out to an astrologer like Danielle Page, like Miara Rose, like Sita, like many of the people that I've had on my podcast. You can reach out to Starseed Hotline. There's a lot of different people you can work with. And then you can also use ChatGPT. If you don't want to spend the $15, that's usually what most astrologers charge. They won't charge much for it, but you can just go on to ChatGPT. You can type in your birth date, where you were born, and the time, and it'll give you your 10 hours of power for your upcoming birthday. So I just made sure to type that in so I was aware, and I just made sure not to cry during those 10 hours and to really enjoy myself and to focus my energy on the life and the vision that I want, despite where I am at right now. So no matter what, it's going to be a lot better than last year. Because that was the big mistake I made, was really testing whether or not your 10 hours of power are true And if you do something negative or sad or down spiral during that time, if that really affects you for your year ahead, and I will tell you it does. Don't surround yourself with people that don't really want to be with you on your birthday. Don't surround yourself with people on your birthday that aren't on your team, that deep down don't really love you and want to see you have the best life possible. Either be by yourself or surround yourself with people that are on your team and enjoy your day at the fullest. If there's one day to be selfish, which is very hard for me to do, be selfish on your birthday. I've talked to some friends, who have kids, and one of my really good friends from college, her birthday is on Halloween. And she's like, I can never dedicate the day to myself while my kids are young. The day is about them and trick or treating and getting them dressed up. So have the best day possible with that in mind. You yourself play the character that you want to play on your birthday. Just make it a beautiful, fun, joyful day, no matter the circumstances, whether you have to go to work or not, no matter where you are in the world. You just have to find a way to make your day joyful, specifically during those 10 hours of power, to set you up for success for your year ahead. I just don't want anyone, after I've had that experience, to cry during their 10 hours of power, because that was just the worst year of my life. When I reflect ultimately on my life, I will tell everybody that 43 was the worst experience ever. And I will always take it back to that birthday where I cried that evening 3 times. That's nothing I ever want to experience again, and I don't want anyone to have to experience that again. So don't play around. If you're listening, now you know the spiritual practice. You have to apply it. And it's easy. Just look it up on ChatGPT, know your 10 hours, and make sure you enjoy yourself during that time. Personally, it always adds a lot of stress on me. So I always get excited when I see that my 10 hours of power are in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping. When I get a year that has that, I'm like, yes. What will usually happen is like the 10 hours of power will start at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. the night before your birthday. And I always get super excited for that. So I'll still sit and kind of write down my goals for the year, the joy, the beauty, the manifestations I would like to call in. I do a meditation and I go to sleep. And I am so grateful that I get to allow kind of my higher self and the ethers to take over, and I don't have the pressure of being fully conscious during the 10 hours of power. But if you're interested in learning more, I definitely suggest go back and listen to episodes that I did. I believe I've done one with Sita. I've done one with Miara Rose. I've done one with Alyssa Gustad. There's a few I've tried over the past few years to do a solar return episode every year to help people understand what it is. And what the neat thing is, I found no matter the astrologer I have interviewed and no matter who their teacher was, it always comes back to the same lessons and information about the solar return. And that's what I like to do, is I like to take a piece of information, interview multiple people about it, and see if I get the consistent same answer back. And I find that I usually do. And that's when it lets me know that it's truth. So listen to those past episodes if it's supportive. And just always remember, your birthday is your reset. It's your update. It's your new year. And so use it accordingly and let it support you. I want to give you guys some updates on some other projects that I've been working on. I want to give you guys some updates on my Ecology Center dinner. I want to give you some updates on getting to support the Alice Waters Foundation and Conscious Kitchen, which is an amazing program that's happening here in California to help public schools get organic foods in their cafeteria, because all public schools everywhere in the nation has a budget, and they usually all have to go through the same food service companies that are local to them to order their ingredients. And the Alice Waters Foundation in Conscious Kitchen is working with individual administrators and school districts to teach them how they can order directly from farms outside the usual providers so they can get better quality ingredients for the students, which then helps them be more attentive in class, helps them learn with more ease and grace, help them be more focused in the classroom, not fall asleep after lunchtime, get better grades. And that's a big part of what the Weston A. Price Foundation has done, is just studying how if you tweak the diet of children in school to eating real whole foods that are seasonal, that they will ultimately get better grades, be more attentive in class, and just learn more and be happier kids. So if they can be more educated, happier kids, that they'll be more educated, happier adults, and everyone that we interact with in our life will just be vibrating at a higher level. That's how we create heaven on earth, is with each individual soul being personally more satisfied with who they are in the life that they're living. It always starts with one person, and it can start with that one person at any age. So there's a lot more that I want to share with that. So I'm going to be working on bringing Conscious Kitchen, Alice Waters Foundation contacts onto the podcast. I want to be bringing just more farmers, people in the regenerative farm movement, and chefs to the podcast to support you guys in making healthy meals at home that really serve you and feeling more empowered to order food from farms that you know that are really going to serve you, especially our protein. I want to share with you more about my ecology center dinner, and I'm already working on putting together all those recipes for you guys so that way you can recreate these healthy meals at home. I'm going to fill you in on my live blood cell analysis with Ricky Wilbur, life-changing. I loved the experience. Ricky is also the engineer that created the Pulsar Pro 2. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm literally looking at the Pulsar Pro 2 in my living room right now because Dr. Scott Robinson's in town and I have it in my house. And it's my favorite frequency machine that's out there because it's so user-friendly. So literally, I just take out a disc and I plug it in, and I can choose from so many discs. Let's say I have Candida. I can choose the disc to clear Candida. So that way, yes, you can edit your diet, but you don't have to edit your diet to a point where it's making you miserable. So you can take the right supplements, you can lightly edit your diet, you can do the frequency machine, and now you can clear it out of your body faster. And that's a big part of what Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches at his retreats. And it's funny, I remember when I went to his retreat in Florida, he brought up Candida, and he's like, I know there's people in this room that have probably had to do a Candida cleanse. It's miserable. When you have to edit your diet so severely, it's miserable, and it affects every waking hour of your life and your ability to socialize and eat out with friends and just, food is happiness. He's like, but if you meditate and if you do the spiritual work to clear Candida, you can do it without fully changing your diet. And he is absolutely correct. There's all these other tools that exist, so we don't have to be so hard on ourselves with food, but it's an energy shift that allows us to clear this overgrowth. And so that was really neat working with Ricky for this stuff to come up in my blood test. Is Ricky communicates, hey, so this is what showed up in your blood test. But the protocol is you have to clear these emotions that created it. You need to use these frequencies to clear it and to level up. And now you need to take these supplements to bring your body back into balance and then level up. So his protocol for healing everything that comes up in the blood tests is emotion clearing, is frequency work. It's a little bit of diet, so stopping to eat foods that your body's currently finding to be inflammatory, and then it's a supplement protocol. And then lastly, It's identifying the frequencies that your body is missing. He creates this little necklace, which I'll get into more with you, with all the frequencies that your body's missing, and you wear it every night while you sleep, so your body gets those frequencies. So in 6 months from now, everything is in balance. But there's a lot of information here. So these are all going to be separate episodes that I'm going to go into for you guys. There's a lot that I just want to share to empower you to go out and live a life full of joy and full of beauty and full of delicious food. And I also find more and more people are wanting to figure out how they can support this movement of healthy food, regenerative farming, organic foods, frequencies, clearing trapped emotions. They want to be a part of this. And so I'm going to go into that too. That's one thing that I have found as well. And that's been challenging for me as a health supportive chef over the past 10 years is I want to help, but the way I want to help is not through just donating money. I can donate my time. So it's reaching out to these different groups, having them on the podcast, and then showing how you guys can get involved wherever you are so you can make changes within your life, within your home, within your community, in a way that works for you. So that's a little bit about what's been going on. It's been a bit of, I know I've jumped around a lot for you guys, but it always goes back to other episodes I've had here on the podcast. But I hope this was supportive. I mean, the number one takeaway that I would like for you to get from this episode is your solar return is real. What happens to you during that time is real. It always goes back to trapped emotions in the body, and you got to clear them. And you can't do it by yourself. You need to find somebody to work with. You don't have to work with that person forever. But like with everything, this isn't supposed to be a full-on solo journey. We always have to start working with other people to improve our physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental health. Not everyone's here for the long haul, but they're definitely people come in and out of your life for a reason, and find the practitioners to support you on your journey, and listen to your gut when you know it's time to move on, and listen to your gut when you know it's time to reach out for help. So it's an interesting game. We all definitely weren't given the tool book, but there's a lot of people like me that are trying to put together the tool books for you. So I have this podcast, the High Vibration Living Podcast, so you can find the tools that you need for your tool belt. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know. Send me a DM. You can leave a comment on Apple Podcasts under the High Vibration Living Podcast. But hopefully some good episodes coming out to you guys this summer on live blood cell analysis, clearing trapped emotions, all my favorite frequency machines, and the huge regenerative farming movement that's happening across the US right now, which is going to get us all healthier food to make all these emotions be able to bubble up and be able to be cleared. So with that, I will let you guys go. It was lovely checking in with you guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.